Hello and welcome everybody to another episode of Pod Strickland. I'm your host, Shwin and Prez, in this episode 336. 536. Jesus. I'm brain farting today. I am joined, as always, by my co-host, Prez, that is at _Presidente on Twitter. Prez, how you doing?
Good. I'm enjoying the fact that we couldn't go one game without basketball being overshadowed by a bunch of other nonsense.
Yes. Well, the NBA does have a way of making sure that anything but the sport of basketball is the primary driver of discussion. We're going to talk about that. We'll also be talking about the Knicks, who won their season opener against the Cavs in, wouldn't say dominant fashion, but comfortable fashion, maybe the proper word. We will talk about that and much more. Before we do that, I do have to make a few announcements. First, being that Strickland has a YouTube channel where you may watch this podcast. If you are, and you have not done so already, please hit like, subscribe to the channel, leave us a comment. That'd be a huge help to us. The Strickland also has merchandise, which you can find on our website at www.thestrick.land. There's a link that'll take you to our merchandise store. There's all kinds of cool stuff on there, like t-shirts, sweatshirts, hats, coffee mugs, water bottles, you name it, we got it. The Strickland also has a Patreon, which you can subscribe to. There are a number of different tiers. There's a $6 tier that gets you access to Pod Strickland, the podcast that I host every Friday with Prez. You also get access to Takes from Obvious Bozos, a podcast hosted by Andrew Steele, a.k.a. Doug, along with Jack Blatter. And you get access to the Strickland Discord. The conversation never stops. There are further tiers. There's a $9 tier that gets you access to Strickland Roll, the pod that I host with YC, where we rant and rave about the Knicks even more. You also get access to wonderful premium articles, and you get access to Strickland NFL, which you guessed it is a podcast about the NFL that is hosted by Constantine Metricos and Desmond Novak. There are further tiers. There's a $15 tier, $30 tier, $50 tier, and a $100 tier. Those come with a variety of additional benefits, like listening on our pod recordings, merchandise discounts, and even potentially co-hosting a podcast alongside yours truly one day, whether you choose to subscribe or not. None of this would be possible without you. And none of this would be possible without our sponsor, FanDuel. Thank you, FanDuel, for certainly being a central character today, or one of the central characters today. Well, we will talk about the Knicks, and we will spend a lot of time on the Knicks. I think it's not possible to start this with any other discussion than what happened today, which is that Terry Rozier, which he had been under investigation that was already known in a gambling probe by the feds. He was arrested, and I think he's about to be. Is he being indicted or arraigned? I don't know. You tell me the difference, Prez.
I don't know what I don't know the latest on what situation
So if
he's
you get
in.
arrested and then he's like in court, so that's being arraigned, right? Like they're telling you
Yeah,
the
yeah.
charges. Look at that. I'm a better fucking lawyer than you. Yeah, so he got arraigned, and the bigger bombshell is that Chauncey Billups was also arrested, and I believe he's supposed to be arraigned either today or tonight or tomorrow or something, as well as Damon Jones, who he's an assistant currently with, or I don't remember where, but let me pull that up. Either way, all these guys are indicted, but the big thing with Chauncey's is this was not as a direct. This is not tied to the Terry Rozier thing. This is separate.
It's separate, and
And
we'll get into it, but it's separate, but like it is
it's part of the
at
same
first.
probe, right? But it's not like they're not being charged with the same thing, and
Right, right,
what
right,
they did isn't connected with each other.
right. It's part of the same umbrella of issues, but
Yes,
yeah, which we'll get into.
like if me and you were part of a complex cocaine distribution operation, but you were, picking up from the supplier and I was a distributor on the street, we would get charged with different crimes.
Listen, listeners, sign up for the highest tier, and you'll get further notes on a criminal conspiracy, as one TV show famously put it.
Are you taking fucking notes on criminal motherfucking conspiracy? uh
This is the Strickland. This
Stringer
is what
Bell.
I came out of hiatus to bring you this new coverage when we need it most. A washed, retired lawyer.
But yeah, so Chauncey's, though he was what he is in trouble for, I guess we'll just call it that, is basically an illegal poker game where not only, because it is an illegal poker game, but they were also basically robbing people. Like it was these were rigged games, and he was the draw. He was the face, so he's the guy that people want to come and play with. And the games that they played were rigged. So
And
that's
then
what someone's
once,
saying.
and then once you get in the red, then they honor your ass. And as a coach with access to information, that's that's a it's not a great position to be in if you're Chauncey, and certainly not a great position to have a coach in if you're the NBA.
And this is also tied to the Jonte Porter stuff too. So it's like a whole fucking sprawling thing. This is probably one of the last good investigations you'll get from the FBI, for reasons we don't need to get into.
Well, it's been ongoing for a while, and I just read from Pablo Torre on Twitter that I guess Terry Rozier's lawyer confirmed that the NBA had their own investigation and cleared Rozier. Unclear exactly which elements of this the NBA specifically investigated, but he was never cleared by the feds, right? And this was ongoing for several years, this investigation by the feds. So, two another instance of two separate but related kind of angles.
I would guess that they investigated Terry Rozier as fiercely as they investigated the finances of Aspiration as a sponsor for the Clippers.
Yeah, I will never trust on lesser issues than gambling. I will never trust the NBA to hold itself accountable. It's just, I mean, like
I would I
we
would say I don't think you can trust any
sure, yeah,
multi-billion-dollar corporation to ever do due diligence in any way that, like, if it's like, oh, this is another revenue
yeah,
stream, they're probably not going to do great due diligence on it.
yeah. It's not you're right. It's not unique to the NBA. It's just the nature of the beast. It's like they have only money to lose by taking the quote unquote high road here and finding a player responsible for this because ultimately even if it's a player it's on their watch, right? They're the one. Adam Silver was the one who wrote an op-ed in the New York Times basically arguing for the need and the benefits of legalizing gambling on sports, in the face of very very loud and pretty obvious but ultimately futile opposition that predicted stuff like this.
Do you think that Adam Silver is going to write an op-ed about why people should vote for Andrew Cuomo?
No, Carmelo Anthony apparently is going to do that. My boy, why? You know, I'm the most staunch Melo defender, but like, Jesus Christ, bro.
Well, I just want to know. I just want everybody to know that I've always been on the right side of history when it comes to Carmelo Anthony. And yesterday was I win.
Are we
I
sure
win.
that wasn't? Are we sure Cuomo's team didn't use AI to generate that? Are we
I
sure?
don't think Cuomo's team. They're no. I'm pretty sure they're too busy trying to figure out the most racist arguments that they can make. So they're busy. Okay.
They're using all their Chat GPT accounts to make racist ads, develop racist ads using AI. They don't have time to Photoshop Carmelo into dark hallways.
All right. To get back to the basketball of it all. Look, I don't want to get into too much of the details of the case because, quite frankly, like we're not just like nobody's coming to this to listen. Like if you already know about it, you probably will read about it on your own. I don't think anybody cares about what we have to say about it. And honestly, we're not informed enough, to talk about the specifics of the case. But I think as far as like the impact on the league and stuff like that, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think any of this is gonna change anything.
No,
Like they're
I
still
don't.
they're going to continue to have relationships with advertisers, like with sports books. They're going to keep pushing that. We're still going to get inundated with gambling lines before games, during games, at halftime. Everything, all that stuff is still going to be there. There's too much money. There's too much money involved, and like we just talked about, multi-billion-dollar corporations don't become multi-billion-dollar corporations by not taking every dollar they can get, and that's just the reality of it. So
It would
I
take
don't think you're going to
something.
see.
Yeah, it would take
There's
something
nothing.
like.
There's nothing. There's nothing.
Yeah,
There's nothing. There's nothing. There's literally nothing. There's nothing that could happen that they're because they will try to come up with stronger regulations for players, and they'll make the punishment so extreme or something to be like, see, guys would never do it in this. And honestly, look, I think that the NBA has some widespread gambling problem. Like, probably not. Like, honestly, I don't think that's true. I have no evidence, but I don't think there's evidence that like there's a bunch of guys all around the league right now that are just mailing it in, and point shaving and whatever. Um, so I don't.
the issue, right? The issue is it's not necessarily that. I think the Chauncey stuff is like perfectly emblematic of how this sprawls beyond just like quote unquote
Right.
mere point shaving. And I say mere point shaving, even though like that's still like a huge integrity issue. And
Well,
then it on
it's
both
it
the
it's the
ball
main.
side and the the gambling side, right? But like as other as this becomes like a leverage point, whether it's coaches or players for other shit, that's when you get into the issues. It's one thing if it's like dumbass Jonte Porter trying to make a buck, right? Or some fucking 12th man who's an idiot and thinks, even though I have a $2 million contract, I really need this extra 40 grand tonight or some shit like that. It's one thing if they do some shit like that, but it's another when like again, like you got dudes like Chauncey, probably got other famous rich people involved in these poker games, and you get drawn into it because you want to be part of this crowd. You want to make. I don't think it's necessarily because of like, oh, I just want to make money or whatever. It's like a social thing, and then all of a sudden, you lose people on your ass. You got money. It's off the books, and you feel like you have no choice but to report a little information here and there. And then like the longer this shit goes, when did all this shit get legalized? What year was it? Like
2018.
2018.
Just
So
just a guess. Just a guess.
we we're not even a decade in. So like the creep of this into like other things, that's what is being experienced now. And to your point, like as it creeps into beyond just point shaving, it becomes information sharing, things like that. Then it's already damn near fucking impossible to unring any part of that bell, like you said, just because of the sheer volume of money. But like as more people's hands are in the pies, then it becomes even more difficult as well. So like we're kind of witnessing that real time. And like you said, they can put in restrictions, regulations, education, da 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 da, but like it's kind of just the nature of the beast, right? Gambling has existed as long as humanity's existed, basically, and like if you allow it, people gonna do that shit. Like it is what it is. We have the entire existence of humankind to like show us evidence for that. So I don't know if there's some level of like superstar involvement or referee shit that could truly put a halt on that, put the brakes on all this shit. That would be probably your best bet. But even then, it would just be ultimately chalked up to like an individual's poor decisions, right? Like that's the thing. Whether it's a ref, whether it's a coach, whether it's a player. Um, and because to your point, like I agree with you. I don't think it'll ever be like more than a handful of idiots doing this, um, or addicted people doing this. Like it doesn't really matter. Um, so it's kind of asking the wrong question.
Well, I think the bigger thing though is maybe not the bigger thing, but what's really problematic is whatever. Like you're always going to get one-off guys that go off the reservation and fucking, like they, whatever. They take the wrong turn and they end up, point shaving and getting into debt to the wrong people and whatever. You can't really control that. That's just the reality of any in any industry. You have people that go off the rails, right? That it's hard to control that. But what they, the other part of this thing that I think is they do need to get control of, and this is on them. I'm sorry, this is on them. You had Damon Jones, like he had found out that LeBron James or whatever, he wasn't going to play against Milwaukee in one game. And it was like, so he got that access to information earlier than most people. And so these guys were able to bet a shit ton of money on the Bucks to cover that game. I think Chauncey had one where he let guys know, hey, we're tanking now. So these 6 guys aren't going to play. Like our starting lineup isn't going to play. So these guys were able to go ahead and bet on their opponent before the public was aware of that information. And I don't know how you completely get a hold of that, but I don't think it helps that there seems to be no actual, like, there's no consistency to the injury reporting. There's no way, like, the even when teams get punished for it, it's bullshit. It's like, oh, it's a $25,000 fine. Like, I'm sorry, it is bullshit that you're in business with sports books. You solicit the services they provide, right? You solicit it. I mean, we fucking do it. We're sponsored by FanDuel, right? But like, I think there's a difference between being like, hey, we're sponsored by FanDuel versus the shit that the NBA is doing where they're integrating that stuff into their app. ESPN, they have their own sports book now. Like, and this stuff just gets pushed on you on every platform that you're watching fucking sports. You just see this stuff constantly. So they're courting this. They want the sports book money. I understand that it's a business. I understand you want this stuff. And there are conditions to getting the money. I get it. But if that's the case, then the integrity has to work completely. And it cannot just be like, well, like, I'm sorry. If Danny Ainge wants to tank, that's fine. Then, like, he needs to just tell us players are out for, like, we cannot have these. I mean, yesterday was a perfect example of this. The Knicks thing it was a fucking joke. It's a joke, right? Like, you have Karl-Anthony Towns. All of a sudden, Shams says he's doubtful, right? 130, he's doubtful. The fucking point spread went from, I think Knicks were -1.5 to Cavs -3.5. Okay, an hour later, Bondi reports actually Cat's not doubtful. Cat's gonna play. Cat's questionable, but he's gonna play. Then the point spread goes from fucking 3.5 to the Cavs, back to 1.5 to the Knicks. Like, that is bullshit. Like, that's bullshit. And like, as somebody who gambles, like this, like, I generally, especially with the NBA, but honestly with the NBA, with the NFL, those two sports in particular, like, I do not place bets for the most part until it's, I know exactly who is and who isn't playing for sure. So when the actual game day roster is released, right? So game night roster. So with the NBA, it's like 30 minutes before tip. The NFL, it's usually an hour, 2 hours before kickoff. But like, it's fine to be like, well, people should just do that. And fine, yeah, people should just do that, in my opinion. But you're not telling them to just do that. You know what I mean? Like, you have all these shows where it's like, oh, like, you can wake up on like a fucking Monday morning and they'll be talking about a game Monday night, right? And it's like, oh, fucking love this matchup because of this thing. And then, 30 minutes before tip off, it's like, oh, actually, all 3 of these guys are sitting now. And it was one thing when sports betting wasn't legal outside of Vegas and the league wasn't in bed with these companies, because if Pop just sat 3 guys out of nowhere, are there some insiders who would have maybe found out some way, somehow, and put a bet on it, like, and got ahead of things? Sure. But now you're soliciting it to such a broad market that if there are insiders that are getting this information, have access to this information in advance, like, I'm not saying this as a bettor that's like bitter about somebody having more information than me in advance and getting better odds. What I am saying though is like it's not me. There are millions of me's. There are millions of people in this nation now that gamble on sports and are able to gamble on sports because it's at their fingertips in a way that it did not used to be on the fingertips, on everybody's fingertips. And in that scenario, like the pool of money is so great that it is your responsibility as a company, as the NBA, to protect the integrity and do right by everyone. And I don't know how they work around that. I don't know how you get coaches or people who know people like Damon Jones knows LeBron, right? I don't know how the fuck he caught wind of it. Got wind of it. Like I don't know how you control that. But
The web, that's what I'm saying. Like the creep is crazy because like how many people are a part of the NBA hoop ecosystem who know somebody? You and I can fucking get occasional scoops on shit about the fucking sport. Like, what the hell do you expect people who are a couple degrees closer to like be able to do? Like, so like anybody can become like Damon Jones, you know? Like it's
I
not
just
that
think
uncommon.
I just think that I don't know. I don't think. Look, we don't need to provide answers. That's not. Thankfully,
It's not our job.
that's not our job. But
They want
what?
me to do that kind of lobbying, they're gonna need some paychecks.
Well, that's one thing. But like, what they can do is actually like you need to police way harder, like way harder, and that might mean that you're like if you have to monitor people's communications, it is what it is. Like you can't take the money and then well, what are you gonna do? Like that's not
here's
how
the
it works.
here here's the thing. Here's the thing. And this ties into another like semi-related issue that I always fucking rant about, which is like referee accountability, like from a basketball perspective. The NBA, in a way that is not true. You tell me about the NFL. I don't know shit about the NFL, but it's certainly not true of baseball, the MLB. MLB fucks a lot of shit up, but they're way better than the NBA on this. The NBA is never ever interested in pointing out anything that can appear wrong ever, other than like allowing all these fucking people to talk about how much they hate the sport, ironically. Like they will never talk about we messed this up with the plan, what from things that are small that are like presentation based to bigger things like what the rules are, what's a foul, what's a missed call. Um they're just never really been interested in admitting fault. This is something that goes back, it's preceded Adam Silver. This was even this David Stern NBA. This is just how they kind of roll. It's like it's never them. It's never them. It's never the NBA. It's never the owners. You know, the Players Association will often take the same tack a lot of the time, but really we're talking the league offices and stuff like that. So it's no surprise that like where they could police, they wouldn't, because that would require them to say, "Oh, hey, X team employee or X front office or X whatever, like you did something wrong." And even if it's private, it would come out eventually. It would come out eventually. It's the same thing with refereeing. MLB, like you can find out public information on how every single umpire does. Um, there's not even private information. Whatever you like, I for a while I thought there would be like private NBA office information on the extensive information on the effectiveness of different referees. And people who work in the league office, like, or have told me that like it's vastly less than whatever you think exists. Like they don't even have like the kind of information you would think they would have in private about what refs need to do better, what refs are the better or worse. So they damn sure ain't gonna have any of that shit publicly. God forbid someone release any information that makes it look like they're not good at their jobs or not providing integrity or accountability. So when you add a gazillion fucking dollars on top of that from all this gambling shit, there's no chance they're ever gonna bother like anything more than the token shit that we're about to see Adam Silver do. And that's exactly what you alluded to before. Is like I'm sure they'll say, "Oh, we're gonna put this in place and that in place," and it's gonna be like a bunch of like token like tap on the shoulder bullshit. Promise you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. There's no punishments. Look, ultimately, I feel very confident that Chauncey Billups is probably never coaching again. He's probably not going to
Oh,
be
it's a
ever
wrap for
involved
him.
with. Yeah, he's not going to be involved with the sport of basketball at any serious level ever again. I feel pretty confident about that. Um, you know, Terry Rozier, I think there's less details about his situation, but usually when you get arraigned by the feds, what do they have, like a 90% plus success rate once they kind of arraign you, indict you, whatever. So
Yeah,
probably not looking good for him. Damon Jones, honestly, I don't care. I don't even want to talk about him. Like, this guy's claim to fame is he was LeBron's friend. Like, I don't need to talk about you, bro. I just don't. So fuck him. But yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. It's just like, this is what the two biggest stories right now, arguably in the league, are this, right? What happened today, and the Clippers potentially having paid Kawhi off the books. Like, and that sucks because I don't know. I thought the opening night was great.
it was
I thought
fantastic.
I thought
Fantastic.
NBC did a great job. I thought they built up the occasion and made it seem like huge. Like, it felt like it should. That's how it should feel. It should feel like, one thing that I've always felt like, I don't know, and some of this just has to do with like life and society has changed so much. So like, I remember growing up, like NBC triple header Sunday, right, for the NBA every week. That was like a
It's a big deal.
huge deal. And now I know, like, everybody has so much shit going on, and you have access to so much stuff. It's hard to own something the same way, but you have to try and build that sense of occasion. And the NFL always does that. And again, I understand with the NFL, considering there's only 17 games, it's almost, if you're a fan,
See,
you're almost like, you're automatically more invested on a game to game basis. So it's kind of easier to hype that up a little bit. But the NBA, it felt like for the longest time, they wouldn't even try. I mean, I can't remember. I swear when ESPN started, they got the national broadcast rights. There are so many times I'm like, wait, there's a fucking game on right now? Like, on national TV? Really? And it's like, did they fucking advertise this? Like, did they do anything for it? And I thought,
this is the thing.
I,
Like go ahead. My bad.
yeah, and I just think that, like, they did a great, like, NBC did a great job with the opening night. And then I thought last night's games, like, and again, we're gonna talk about the Knicks after this, I promise. But last night's games, like, they were fucking great. Like, they had a really good opening two nights of the NBA season. And I don't know, like, it's really ridiculous that you can have such a good start to the season, and you look around the league, and whatever we think about the first apron, second apron, like, it has created a sense of parody that,
We
like,
should be spending time hating on Durant to open the pods and Houston, and we're not. Look at
yes,
that's what
and we're going
situation
to
we're
do
in.
that. No, we're gonna do that. I've been saving that. But like, this is like, this is the seventh year, right? In the last 7 years, there have been a different champion each of those years. And you look at the league now,
That's
and
so
yes,
crazy.
OKC looks like the prohibitive favorite or whatever. But like,
Shit
there are,
happens.
yeah, and there are so many good teams. And the other thing that's awesome now about the NBA is there's actually not like 10 teams you look at and you're like, oh, they're tanking, they're tanking, they're tanking. Whether your team should or not is its own thing, but they've created a system, or at least, or like a setup where teams don't want to tank. They don't want to tank. And that's great. That means that they're trying to win basketball games, which is how it should be. Your team should be trying to win basketball games in most parts. So there are things that are really good about the league right now. But we don't that's just not what this season so far. That's not the predominant discussions around the sport right now. Now you're talking about, oh, you got a head coach involved in a gambling situation. You have a player on the Miami Heat who has been indicted now for effectively point shaving or whatever. Um, and that sucks. And then you have this, again, you got the Bomber Clippers aspiration thing, which also doesn't feel great. Like yeah, all of those things suck. But basketball is fun. Basketball is fun, and I'll tell you what is fun about basketball, Prez. I think what's fun about basketball was watching the Knicks last night, and
Before we get to the Knicks, I did want to add one more thing to your point about like, we as whatever you call people our age, millennials, older millennials, I don't know, like we have this nostalgia for um the NBA on NBC back then, and it was, pre internet, it was like event watching sort of a big deal. And I thought about this, and I think one of the other, you mentioned how like maybe it's just the kind of climate, the combination of like the state of the world, the country, the internet, social media, all these things kind of swirling together. And like, I mean, back in the day, like our younger viewers probably don't know this as much, but like before social media and all that, like there was very like there was much less like nationwide community entertainment, right? Like you had shit like The Sopranos. I remember Lost in high school when I was when that shit was popping. It was one of the like it was like just like how later like people would be on the internet talking about Game of Thrones. It was like that, but without the internet. Like everybody just being I didn't watch that shit, but everybody was like, "Oh, what the fuck happened on Lost?" And everybody go downstairs in college, go watch Lost or whatever. And like sports was the same way in a lot of respects. Politics was nationalized, but honestly, not to the degree that it is now. Even national politics, ironically, um, it wasn't something that everybody had to talk about. There was like a layer of privacy that it's just not there now for reasons that require probably many PhD students to analyze. So like you had sports. The NBA did a great job of being one of those few things that like could bring people together to enjoy some shit and be some shit that a lot of people could talk about, right? Jordan, not just Jordan, your team in your city, whatever. And, somewhere along the way, they lost some of that. And ironically, I think social media brought some of that back, right? Like the NBA social media community is in a lot of ways what revitalized and helped further like globalize the sport. You got all these NBA junkies now from all parts of the world on Twitter, and it's been that way for probably like 20 years now, give or take. Um, but the NBA has definitely taken that sort of thing for granted, where it's just like, all right, this is now just like it's a multi-billion-dollar business. It's the money printing machines, and the product sells itself. We're not really worried a ton, other than like throwing some clips on the internet and letting Twitter do its thing, and Adam Silver talking about like, oh, you can't afford League Pass and 8 streaming networks. Well, there's always Instagram. Like, like they very clearly do not view it as an appointment viewing, like build a community sort of thing, and instead it's more a vehicle to get views, to get ads on social media. It's a vehicle to engage gamblers. It's a vehicle for all these other fucking revenue streams. And I'm not saying it was fucking charity in the 90s. It obviously wasn't. But like it's just so fucking hyper focused on all the streams of revenue and like making it an enjoyable fucking sport like the only argument you can really point to is people like offense, and every fucking thing they do to change the rules like sort of geared toward offense. But aside from that, like they don't really do much to like, they've given up on this like idea of the NBA as like a thing. Like, and they're never gonna obviously compete with like the NFL, but like I do lament that. Yeah, I miss that. And I'm glad that at least to your point, NBC is like, you know what? Let's give it a fucking whirl. Like nobody's gonna have, they're not gonna have millions of people tune into every NBC game, but like at least channel some of that energy. That was pretty cool to see. But guess what? It doesn't fucking matter because that was overshadowed, like you said, by all this other stuff.
Yeah, we got 48 hours of like, oh, it's so happy basketball's back, and now it's just like, well, I mean, I'm still happy basketball's back, but without the other nonsense, it'd be even better.